This is the best build for you Elementalist mains. Let's talk about it. What's good, YouTube? NoGoodEman coming to you today with an Elementalist breakdown guide video. So guys, in this video, I want to teach you guys how to utilize the final class in our series, breaking down each and every class in SLA Overdrive. We're finally talking about those Elementalists. You guys have been commenting like non-stop, so here it is. We're talking about Elementalists, the best artifacts, stats, and more. But before we do, make sure you leave a like on the video. If you're new, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Turn on post notifications so you don't miss a live or an upload. Now, of course, let's go ahead and start with the basics. Talking about that skill tree for an Elementalist, you can see what I have mained and what I have as side classes. I have just go ahead and grabbed each and every facet within the Elementalist class. The Elementalist class has some interesting mechanics, but of course we're talking about the elements, so let's speak about that overdrive. A glacier surges up in front of the user to freeze their enemies, activating cold ice, and the ground instantly boils with the fire demon erupting, activating scorch. How do you guys get this overdrive is when cold ice or scorch activates or hits a target, the overdrive gauge is restored once per element. Activates only once every set interval. The user consumes their entire overdrive gauge and uses their overdrive skill, and then that's when you get the glacier and then the boiling from the fire demon. Again, very nice, very lovely. Within the overdrive, within the Elementalist skill tree though, you can see a lot, and I mean a lot of different elements allowing you guys to increase the damage, whether it's chaos, whether it's overwhelm, whether it's scorch, whether it's cold ice. And we have specific Elementalist enhancements when we're talking about freeze or when we're talking about fire. So this is something to pay attention to, because when you utilize specific skills within the tree, it has a chance to inflict burn on a target, it has a chance to inflict freeze on a target, and then this one even increases activation rate if the user has learned the Elementalist overdrive. Some of the best things in here is probably going to be Annihilation, one of the final skills you will get if you guys do max out your skill tree of Elementalist. The target's Scorch Elementalist status effect value increases when Genu attacks, and this is going to be very, very nice and lovely if you guys are utilizing this with the Phoenix Soul. Again, something else to pay attention to is that I think with the Elementalist class, it's going to be very defensive penetration heavy because it has two specific defensive penetration on each of the skill trees of Fire and Ice. So that's just something to pay attention to, something I also would pay attention to. And also we have Elemental Infusion. When a skill from the skill tree hits, has a chance to inflict a random elemental reaction effect to the target. This one is going to be absolutely insane. Increases activation rate if the user has learned Elementalist overdrive. I can't believe it. This is going to be pretty insane. We're going to talk about some ways to make that nuclear in just a second, but some of my side classes on here are going to be, again, the Duelist class. This looks almost identical to what I just released on my ruler guide video, but I think that the Duelist class is immediately going to be one of the best side classes you guys can have, just for the sake of having stagger, being able to do stagger damage to a boss that has a stagger gauge. You're going to need part of a Duelist class, but along with that, I just got the first thing in Gravitational Shift of Ruler, which was Dispersion to get a good amount of AoEs. Now, let's go ahead and talk about the weapons. We're rocking the Phoenix Soul along with Thetis' Grimoire. This is going to be a nuclear combo, especially in the end game. If you guys don't like that, or if you're wondering what are some early game weapons I can look for if you are the Elementalist class, I'm going to show you guys some things you can look forward to in the early game. So you want to, of course, specifically focus on weapon based things that allow you to basically enhance your elemental damage. Immediately, the first thing that my mind goes to is Naga Guardian's Dragon's Trident. This one maxed out is going to increase elemental damage, stacking up to 6 times. But again, this is an early game weapon that you guys can get at the earlier variants. It doesn't really do too much. I think this gets better at least B or A. Super Armor increases his attack temporarily. Let's see what the A one does. This is one you guys wanted. So at least if you get Naga's Guardian's Dragon's Trident, when you get it to A, you should see some better returns. You can also invest into the Burning Demon's Grimoire early on, and then when you have the chance, you can utilize the Grimoire, whether it be Thetis' Grimoire, whether it be the Burning Demon's Grimoire. I think that the endgame weapons are for sure going to be Thetis' Grimoire, either the Burning Demon's Grimoire at A, or of course, like we talked about, the Phoenix Soul, definitely one of the best weapons in the game, if not the best weapon in the game right now. You could also probably utilize the Demon King Longsword. I think this has some elemental, whether we're talking about electric shock. I'm not too sure that comes into play too much, but again, that's just a theory, a game theory. Regardless, guys, let's go ahead and talk about that weapon skill tree. So as you can see, I do have the bow and the Grimoire. Now the bow is going to be, of course, of the bow skill tree, and the Grimoire is going to be, of course, of the focus skill tree. If you look at what I have in the bow skill tree, I have everything on the left side locked at least one time because I'm going to get a lot of damage from that bow. So I did try to prioritize bow skill damage increase as much as I could, as much as I can. As you can see, I did not inflict secure aim, or I did not unlock this one. I personally don't like this one. I think that damage dealt to targets within a 5-meter range is reduced, but significantly increases damage dealt to targets more than 5 meters away. You're gonna have to play from a distance if you unlock that one. I don't really like that type of play. I kind of like to mix and match it. I kind of like to play far, play, you know, close up. It just varies on, you know, what I'm doing, but I do have everything in focus unlocked. I think that the focus class is going to be very, very insane, especially if you guys unlock mono wave. Increases attack proportionally to Sun Jinu's intelligence stat, and then there's something like that for bow as well. If you guys unlock swift strike, increases attack proportional to Sun Jinu's agility stat. So very, very good classes, and if you enhance those points that you do have, you should see higher damage for your Sun Jinu. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and talk about the stat breakdown. This is definitely going to be one of my most interesting stat breakdowns because we finally put points into intelligence. This is one of the only builds where it's finally time to utilize intelligence. So my main two things that I wanted to increase here was going to be agility along with intelligence. Agility, of course, for the usual critical hit rate, critical hit damage, extreme evasion timing, but intelligence is going to be a staple for the Elementalist build. Why is that the case? That's going to be for your elemental status effect damage increase. You're going to be inflicting a lot of status effect damages, or just a lot of status effects. So you want to make sure that that damage is high as possible, along with having a good amount of MP and MP regeneration. We've got 100 on perception, we've got 50 on strength, and 29 on vitality. But if we swing on back to the physique skill tree in the Monarch's Awakening, I do want to mention that I did max out everything damage wise here. So maxed out attack, maxed out defensive penetration, maxed out critical hit rate. I even increased the damage taken decrease along with some of the defense so I could get basically a tankier unit with the Elementalist, and then for the Monarch's Awakening, unlock the whole right side of Soul Liberation, and then my main core 4 in Umbreal Vision. Now then, let's go ahead and look at the skill sets. For my basic skill set A, I'm rocking Annihilation along with Cold Storm, and one of these, when you guys unlock, or when you guys attack with Cold Storm, it increases the target's cold ice elemental status effect value, and of course Annihilation, one of the best skills you can have for the Elementalist. The target Scorch Elementalist status effect value increases when Jinu attacks. On my basic skill set B, we're using Firestorm Dagger along with Iceberg. Again, two staples allowing you guys to control the battlefield with Scorch, with Cold Ice, and everything in between. As far as the Blessing Stones and stats, this can be pretty interesting. Again, Mono Rampage. I'm personally rocking Mono Rampage because I think this is one of the best ones, but I also have this on Legendary. As far as the other empowerment Blessing Stone that you can run, I gave Weakness Detection a shot. I think that really all the skill tree based Blessing Stones, I don't see too crazy of a damage increase from these. So if you guys don't like the specific skill tree Blessing Stones, which I'm not too much of a fan of, you can opt for, let's say, a crit Blessing Stone like Sharp Perception. This one's going to be very, very good, especially at the Legendary variant. Or you could aim for what most players are using when they're trying to increase their damage output, Double-Edged Sword. So Double-Edged Sword, of course, is going to be dangerous because your opponent's attack also increases while yours increases. So that's something to keep in mind. Or you could just be normal, use Boss Slayer, damage dealt to boss monsters increase. And with that, I do want to also mention Wolf Assassin. Now, Wolf Assassin is going to be good for either Orange Chapter Gates, story mode, or just anything that has a bunch of mobs before a boss monster, because each time you defeat a normal monster, it increases your attack very slightly, stacking up to 20 times of the Legendary variant. It's just something to keep in mind and think about. Now let's go ahead and showcase the artifacts we're rocking for our Elementalist. 3-piece Almighty Shaman is going to matter more than it did for any other build because we want that burn effect on our opponents. We want that scorch effect. We want to inflict every debuff possible to a boss monster, and when you guys do inflict burn, it's going to deal additional damage proportional to the user's attack, so utilize that as much as you can. As far as the glove, it's of course going to be burning demons, but if you are running, let's say, Workshop Brilliant Light, you can go for burning greed to increase your stagger effect. On the right side, I'm personally going to opt for the skeleton set. I think that the skeleton set, again, one of the greater sets in SLA Overdrive. If you guys are comfortable with playing with about half of your HP, you should have no problems with this class. I think that this allows you to get an enhanced amount of attack, and you guys also will HP recovery kind of just throughout the battle. Last but not least, we're talking about that team formation. So we got the boy Mean, we've got Alicia Blanc, and we've got Parkeegan. Now this is going to be an interesting team composition. Alicia Blanc is going to help me control the battlefield with her freeze debuff. Mean is of course here for the heals, but Parkeegan, you guys might be wondering, why the heck is he bringing Parkeegan? Well, if you look at her QTE skill, when attacking the enemy's elemental damage taken temporarily increases. This is going to be big for Parkeegan, or for Sun Jinu's sports skill. You guys are all focused on elemental damage when it comes to an elementalist, right? So that is something to keep in mind of. And then I do want to mention, I believe it's either in her overdrive or her weapon specific skill, which I don't have right now, so don't pay attention to it, but we're grinding it out. Intuition, this is going to be one of the greatest hunter exclusive weapons, especially for Parkeegan, especially for an elementalist. When Parkeegan or a party member inflicts an elemental reaction effect, they gain a random enhancement. Only one of the following random enhancements effects will be increased or applied. All party members' attack, defensive penetration, stagger potency, or critical hit damage will increase. One of these effects will be game breaking for you guys, but again, it seems like there is actually no cooldown on this, so I think that the ability to utilize this over and over and over, and if you guys are utilizing the Elementalist class, you will have the ability to inflict various different elemental reactions on your bosses, right? Because you got cold, ice, and scorch non-stop, but there are various different other elements you could be inflicting. Think about erosion, think about, what is it, nightmare, we got chaos, overwhelm. You have the ability to take control of the battlefield like no man's business. So go ahead and get Parkeegan on your side, get her exclusive weapon, because I haven't played with her too much, but once I get her weapon, the Elementalist class will be going crazy, and we're going to showcase this in the next live stream, so that's why I don't have any gameplay right now pertaining to the class. But guys, with that, what do you think of the Elementalist class? What is your favorite class to utilize in Overdrive? How are you guys utilizing the Elementalist class as a whole? Go ahead and leave your thoughts, theories, and comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications. With that, I'll see you guys in the next one. Y'all take care. Peace.